The name of Porsche and the shape of its iconic 911 Coupe have been written large through the history of sports car and endurance racing. The legacy continues in 2018, and at the pinnacle of Porsche racing in the US is a schedule of 16 races over 8 circuits. The 2018 IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama will take our competitors from the flat airfield of Sebring to the rolling hills of Road Atlanta in Georgia. Hello there, I'm John Hindhaugh from IMSA Radio, and this weekend we're in the green and pleasant land just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, and the Barber Motorsports Park provides the backdrop for two different classes of Porsche GT3 Cup car. The Platinum drivers and cars are the Gen 2 machines. They've got the black mirrors. The yellow mirrors denote our gold cars and drivers, running in two separate championships. Qualifying already done, and the man at the top of the standings, Roman De Angelis.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, we're on pole, so qualifying went really, really well. A couple really quick laps, so we're on pole for both races. Amazing car by Kelly Moss, and obviously sponsored by Medical Properties Trust and Children's of Alabama. So they're all here to support this weekend, so hopefully we can get a good showing in the race. So this track's kind of small and really tight, so passing opportunities are very minimal, so I think being on pole is a huge advantage here, so hopefully it's in our favor today. So.
Roman has the pace and the skill to push through the field if he needs to. He won't have to do that, at least at the green flag, because the only car in front of him right now is our Porsche Turbo safety car. Under blue skies, the green flag is next as we go racing for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama at Barber Motorsports Park. Barber Motorsports Park, the venue for rounds 2 and 3 of the 2018 IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama. Safety car lights out, so the Porsche Turbo in that very pretty metallic blue will be heading into the pit lane, leaving the field under control of our poleman, Roman De Angelis. For Kelly Moss Road and Races, David Kolkman, the German, in the dark grey Park Place Motorsports machine alongside him. Estep and Root on row 2, Hardiman and Imperato making up the top 3 rows. Further down the field, position number 13 is our pole sitter for the gold category, the 25 NGT Motorsport Porsche of Victor Gomez IV. Sunshine glinting down on a fabulous looking field of Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, and the white and green car to driver's left hand side as they come through the final corner is our pole man, and that is Roman De Angelis. Let's see when the green flag comes out. There it is, an immediate break further back down from one of the most speed cars, I think that was, and here's Hardiman in the white and blue car down the inside, making it 3 wide for a moment. The black car is Trenton Estep, he's getting involved, but the poleman has done what he needed to do and claimed his position at the front of the field. Not a bad start as they head round this sinuous circuit, just 2.3 miles around. It's got just about every type of corner. Side-by-side action further down the field is the 23 of Fred Keimer, one of Masters category cars, going a bit wide. Oh, and there's a problem. Oh, that's an awful start to the race for Rob Ferriol, the Aviex aerospace car, spinning around, I think on his own, down to the hairpin. At the front of the field, though, through the chicane, Roman De Angelis leads. Kolkman in second position, then a bit of a gap. The rest of the field coming through. Look for the yellow mirrors, signifying the Gold Cup category cars. Fabulous circuit, isn't it? And these Porsche 911's engine at the back, of course, the classic Porsche configuration, working very well on the undulations. Just look to the left-hand side of the screen in the background. Oh, well, I thought he'd just gone on the curb there, but in fact, Rob Ferriel all the way around because he was on the grass. The Yokohamas are good, but they're not made for rally crossing. Fortunately, everyone else heading towards the racing line were actually going in the opposite direction. Leader has broken away. We started with 45 minutes on the clock. And this is a great start from De Angelis, who's got almost a second on Coltman. Third position, what a start by Maxwell Root from San Diego for Wright Motorsports in the number 5 car, in the number 7 car. And he has got ahead of Trenton Estep in the number 3, the black and gold machine. And where is our leader in the Gold Cup category? Looks like that might have changed as I look down the field. Through comes our leaders again, settling into some kind of rhythm here. Cars heavy at the moment, full of fuel to get them through the whole race distance. Trenton Estep riding the curb there, trying to make some positions on route. There is the 52. Now, is that our leader? Kurt Fazekas, has he got through in the Kelly Moss Road and Race car to the head of the Gold Cup category? I think he might have. The bulk of the Gold Cup fields sitting in behind him, can't see any cars. Well, there's Victor Gomez. And he started on pole. No, he's still ahead. 14th position for Fazekas, so he is still ahead in that very distinctively coloured light blue machine. He has been now scored a second position, my apologies, as he goes through. So it did make a mistake at the start, having started on pole position. Now sitting in second in Gold Cup, and he's got problems because he's got platinum cars ahead of him. One of those cars ahead of him is Kurt Fazekas, and that is our Gold Cup leader. So 2 cars between first and second. The purple car leading Gold Cup, then the 2 platinum cars. There's Fazekas with those bright yellow mirrors. Kurt Fazekas from Indianapolis, another Kelly Moss Road and Race driver, one of the super teams here. There are a number of teams running multiple cars. Collect lots of data, of course. Not all that much you can do for setup here. The 2 detailed changes that will change just how the cars handle, and the major decision that the team and driver have to make between them is whether you set your car up to be quick at the beginning of the race when it's fallen on Yokohamas that are at the very peak of their performance, or whether you gamble and set the car up to be held back just a wee bit at the start of the race and then come on strongly at the end. Roman De Angelis leading, Canadian driver running in the US Series and the sister series north of the border. Had a mixed season last year. We saw plenty of pace from him. Didn't have much luck. Can he turn his pole position to a win here in Alabama? Looking at the battles behind the leader, second position is Kolkman. He's just about a couple of seconds ahead of this battle for third. The red, white and blue car, the number 7, Maxwell Root, has Trenton Estep for company in that black and gold car. So that's third and fourth position. Beautiful afternoon here at Barber Motorsport Park. This exceptionally well thought out 2.3 mile circuit. Alan Wilson, famous for his circuit designs. It's one of his shorter ones, also designed the very long and very intricate Salt Lake City facility. Will Hardiman now coming through in the 19 car, looked to make up positions at the start. Won at Sebring in the second outing there, sitting in 5th position. And behind him, the 91, is Anthony Imperato, the man from Brooklyn, New York, another one of the Wright Motorsports car. All of these drivers we've seen at the front of the field at some stage last season or in the early stages of this. De Angelis was very impressive in the Gold Cup last year, but couldn't really complain about his driving. Had some issues with unusual reliability problems, which kept him out of an even better season. David Kolkman just turning in that grey car, 2 seasons in the Carrera Cup Deutschland, the German Carrera Cup. And the benefit, of course, for all of these international drivers, if they do choose to come to the IMSA series, is that the cars around the world now are all standardised. There used to be slight detail changes, some different tyre manufacturers being used around the world, but if you can drive a 911 GT3 Cup car, then you can use that skill set and go and drive it elsewhere in the world. That's exactly what our second place driver David Kolkman has done. Best battle on the field at the moment for third. Trenton Estep, well, we know he's got pace, perhaps hasn't quite got the results that his talent and pace have deserved in the past. With Jeremy Dale's JDX team, they know which way is up as well, and all of a sudden Estep is forcing tiny little mistakes out of Maxwell Root ahead of him, and that is all the encouragement that he will need. These cars do have aerodynamic front and rear appendages. You can see the rear wing quite clearly, but the benefit of driving GT cars is that you can get close. Sometimes you can't do that in Formula racing. Meantime, in the battle in the gold category, Victor Gomez still sitting in 2nd position, but now there's only one car between him and the leader, Kurt Fazekas, and the car is the number 34 of Sean McCaig. That's 16th position. McCaig in a platinum car, signified by the black mirrors. The yellow mirrors, the Gold Cup 2nd place driver. That light blue machine, Victor Gomez, and he'll be disappointed that he can't get onto the back of the purple car slightly further ahead. Now, don't get confused, that's not the same 2 cars. That's Scott Vellum and Mark Kavame. They're a couple of places further up the field, and there's the mistake. Very careful riding those curbs. Kavame in the 43, Scott Vellum in the 61. And right in behind them is Kurt Fazekas in the 52, the purple people eater, side by side ahead of him, and through to take the position is Mark Kavame. And from Columbus, Ohio, another one of the JDX racing cars. And Fazekas now realises he's got to get a bit of a wiggle on, because his gold class lead is coming under a little more pressure from behind, not from the 34 white, blue and green car, but the one behind that, the lighter blue machine. In fact, there's a whole slew of Gold Cup cars and class cars sitting in behind that light blue car. The next couple back, all in the same category. Fazekas then down to the hairpin, still sitting in behind Wellham, and here's the opportunity for Victor Gomez. Was there a little bump and run there on the 34 of Sean McCaig? There might have been, but it's enough. Just, excuse me, coming through. Nice driving from the second placed competitor in the gold category. Still over half an hour to go here in Alabama.
I am the trusty co-pilot. The moving part that moves all 2,000 parts. I am the translator who interprets the road, the permission to take the scenic route, and the guide that gets you there safely. I'm not just any tire. I am a Yokohama.
The all-new IMSA app, whether at home or trackside. Get behind the scenes with team and driver access all the time. It's the ultimate in fan experience. Choose your favorite manufacturer and strap in for the ride. With live scoring data, radio commentary, and session results in real time, it's just like you're there in Winner's Circle. The all-new IMSA app. Download it today.
Still great battling in the midfield, but now that includes first and second in the gold category. As in behind the 61 of Scott Wellham, we have the leaders side by side, and down the inside, Victor Gomez coming from a long way back into the first left-hander here at Barber. John Hindhaugh from IMSA Radio describing the action for you on a beautiful afternoon. And it's been a good drive from Victor. Didn't see how he lost ground early on. He was on a decent starting position. Now, 4 out of those 5 cars are gold category runners, and the first 2 are battling for the gold category lead. Remember, 2 different types of Porsches here. The platinum class out front are the new Gen 2 cars, a little more power, slightly different aero, different interior. Our leader is still Roman De Angelis, and still one of the better battles on the circuit, Maxwell Root, who is still holding back Trenton Estep. Not stills in that. They're not standing still, are they, as they crash past us and roar through into the first corner. And lap traffic becoming an issue now as well. And that means that everyone has to keep their wits about them, including the cars that are being passed. Trenton Estep in that number 3 black and gold car, looking for a chink in the armour of Maxwell Root ahead of him. They're dropping to 6 seconds or so behind the leader. Coltman in the Park Place Porsche in second, just about a second and a half away from the leader. Still plenty of time to go. This, for many of these drivers, will be the longest races they've done if they've come up from other forms of racing. The clock starting at 45 minutes, and deliberately timed to replicate the sort of stint length, the sort of amount of time in the car that you would have if you were racing in longer distance race. Like the IMSA Weather Tech Sports Car Championship, for example. Trenton Estep had a perfect start to the season, taking the opening round at Sebring. Very different circuit, of course, extremely bumpy. There's plenty of up and down here at Barber, but that is following the topography of the local area. Let's check back in with the gold category class. Second place for the 25 of Victor Gomez, and the car directly ahead, the purple machine, is his current target of choice. Kurt Vasigas, been in the championship a wee while and has been a doughty competitor. At the moment, he's got to keep the concentration at the very highest level. He's just given himself a little room from Scott Wellham ahead in one of the Platinum cars, just so that he's got his own space on the racetrack. I think that's really quite sensible. The Platinum car perhaps just a little quicker in the straight line. But Vasigas now has his mirrors full of Victor Gomez. Victor Gomez from Puerto Rico for NGT Motorsport, one of the young drivers looking at Porsche Cup to try and further their racing career. Meantime, the battle for third position, Trenton Estep and Max Root, two young drivers looking at the Porsche Cup to further their driving career. Yes, there's a lovely mix of career-focused drivers and those who just love driving Porsches, which would be all of us, wouldn't it, let's be honest. So the battle for third still nicely on the boil, and by my eyes, I just think that Will Hardiman is beginning to close in on those two. The leading pair about a second apart as they go through into the downhill left-hander at the start of the lap. Now check that was into the hairpin in front of the museum, my apologies. Too busy looking at the times here. Coltman still that 1.5 seconds behind De Angelis. Not seeing much of Roman, our leader, but he's still out there, as is the German in second place. Then this intriguing battle for third, fourth and fifth, and definitely the man from the great state of Texas in fifth position, the number 19, Will Hardiman, coming very strongly indeed. It's been a measured drive by Will. Just on 27.5 minutes to go. Oh, there was that slight mistake by Root. There was almost a gap, just half a car's width. But Estep now looking very racy indeed. Maybe he's seen Hardiman in his mirrors and realises he's got to make his move, and he's got to make it now. Action aplenty here for the Porsches at Barber. Our leader is Roman De Angelis. He's got almost a 2-second gap to Coltman in second, Root in third. And still cars stacking up behind the third place number 7. But at the moment, De Angelis is driving a nigh-on perfect race. Coltman trying to keep him honest. Then the battle pack for third position. Root, Estep and Hardiman just gets a car in between him there. It's the 44 Greg Palmer, Kelly Moss Road and Race Porsche in the gold class, and that is slightly hampered. The man from Texas, and who's that? It's Imperato. Imperato, I think, going off, yes. The Wright Motorsport car maybe just distracted by the cars checking up ahead of him. Battle for third across the line. Root and Estep, red, white and blue, black and gold. In the Gold Cup category, the leader's changed. The leader's changed. Victor Gomez now ahead of Kurt Fazekas. And still ahead of them, the 61 of Scott Wellham, the Louisville, Kentucky man, running in the Masters class for drivers with slightly more experience of life. That's me trying to be diplomatic and say a bit older chaps. So a new leader then in that Gold Cup. And Victor Gomez having got past Kurt Fazekas. And now has Scott Wellham ahead of him. And just look in the background there, as Anthony Imperato seemed to lose his focus for a moment, concentrating, just drifting maybe, turned in a fraction late for the right-hander, got onto the dirty side of the circuit. Remember, the Indy cars have just been out, so very different tyre compounds out there, and offline, clearly not much grip to be had. No grip at all on the grass, and a good save by Imperato to get back on without losing too much ground to the battle he was in. Almost the overlap for Estep as they came out of the final corner. Maxwell Root doing exactly the right thing, hitting his marks, turning in, clouts the curb at the first corner. That slightly compromised him for turn 2, the right-hander up the hill. And the third car in that is Hardman. Will Hardiman has got back after being separated from that battle for third for a lap or so, when the number 44 Greg Palmer got in the way. Greg was doing his best, no disrespect to him at all. Let the first 2 cars go, and Estep does a huge drift, torturing the rear Yokohamas on his JDX Racing Porsche, and that's cost him time. Look at that, and he's dropping into the clutches of the 5th place driver. Across the line now, the battle for 14th position includes, in 15th and 16th are 2 Gold Cup leaders, well, 1st and 2nd. Kurt Fazekas will be kicking himself that Victor Gomez was able to catch him and get through, and I just wonder how much that 61 car was a factor there, because it looked certainly early on in this race that there was the opportunity for Fazekas to break away, as Roman De Angelis comes through with a little over 21 minutes to go. Just can't break the resolve of David Coltman in the Park Place car. Carrera Cup in Germany, very competitive, and where quite a lot of the Super Cup Porsche drivers, Super Cup that supports Formula One mainly, reside and do their complementary season running. Now the battle for third position is now back to 3 cars, with Will Hardiman having joined the number 7 of Max Root and the number 3 of Trenton Estep as they head down the back of the circuit. This is intriguing, isn't it? Really no rest on this circuit. There's a couple of long straights, but even then, you're already setting up for the next corner. Alan Wilson's done a great job with this place. Relatively new circuit, opened in 2003. IndyCar, been here for a while. AMA Motorcycles, the previous iteration of IMSA, the Grand Am, they were here as well, and our IMSA Development Series here this weekend in the shape of the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. End of another lap. Good driving again by the slower car that lets the battle pack go through. Estep weaving around. Now he can do that, but Maxwell Root can't. He's got to pick a line and stay to it. Can't move in response to what's going on behind him. This has been a fine drive at Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama, in round 3 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama, by our leader Roman De Angelis from pole position. Did a lot of the hard work in qualifying to capture that pole, but since the drop of the green flag he has not been headed off. Has got the 42. Oh no, Bill Smith in the top racing come through Salon Machine, the bright orange Porsche. Man from Asheville, North Carolina, manages to get going. We won't need a safety car. The leader's just gone through there. And we'll have to get rid of that advertising board. A little bit of a wiggle bill, he'll get rid of that. Now, did he jump or was he pushed? Look in the background, he's battling. Just can't see him there. Behind the 61. Oh, he hit the Armco as well on the right-hand side. So perhaps just a little bit concerned with the car ahead and trying to get through. And that particular sponsor will be sending Bill a big thank you letter, I think. Under 16 minutes to go. And Roman De Angelis continues to lead. He's not been headed, but he's not really had the chance to back his pace off because of the man in second, David Kolkman. Young German stepping into the IMSA series for the first time after a couple of years in the German version of this. Started racing at the relatively, for Europe, late age of 14 in karts. Did a bit of Formula 4 open wheel racing, and then the Porsche Carrera Cup Germany for a couple of years before looking to this IMSA series. Bill hasn't got his top racing car moving again. He's left it off the side of the circuit, and there is a yellow flag out there in the background. You see the green flag being held out to let the drivers know that the caution area has finished, so there'll be no overtaking down there. That does take out one of the potential passing places. Kolkman just sitting 1.5, 2 seconds behind the leader, and then a big gap back to Estep now. Estep in third position. So Max Root has slipped back a position. Just seeing that on the timing. Still the gold category led by Victor Gomez, with Kurt Vasikas in second. Hardeman's gone past Max Root as well. So Root has slipped down to 5th position. So that 3-car battle that was intriguing us in the middle part of the race, well, the pendulum there certainly gone to Trenton Estep, but it's held him up. He would have wanted to be up with these leading pair and putting pressure on them. He's in a podium position at the moment, but he's a long way back. Kolkman, great team player. ADAC, the German governing body of motorsport, and their Formula 4 championship has, under different names at various stages down through the years, seen some very big names come through it. David deciding relatively early in his career to head into a championship with a roof above him, and not unsurprisingly, Porsche was his choice. Now let's see if we can see where the third place driver is. It should be the black and gold car of Trenton Estep. There he is, comes into sight with Hardeman, the white, mostly white car there. Man who was third in the overall standings last year, perhaps would have wanted for more coming into the season. Started this season very well at Sebring with a win, and now has a long gap to make up to the leaders in the gold category. The battle is still between Fazekas and, in second Fazekas is, by the way, and Victor Gomez, and they're in danger of going a lap down now. Now this is going to be interesting. With just on a dozen minutes to go, the leaders overall with the faster cars are coming into the Gold Cup battles for some of the podium positions. Danger time then for Roman De Angelis.
I am the trusty co-pilot, the moving part that moves all 2,000 parts. I am the translator who interprets the road, the permission to take the scenic route, and the guide that gets you there safely. I'm not just any tire. I am a Yokohama.
The all-new IMSA app, whether at home or trackside. Get behind the scenes with team and driver access all the time. It's the ultimate in fan experience. Choose your favorite manufacturer and strap in for the ride. With live scoring data, radio commentary, and session results in real time, it's just like you're there in Winner's Circle. The all-new IMSA app. Download it today.
Well, the leaders of the race overall are coming into the battles for the Gold Cup lead as well. Kurt Fazekas in second in that 52, the purple car, has Sean McCaig ahead of him in a platinum car, and also the 74. Tom Kerr, a little bit off the pace today, Tom from Tampa, Florida, still enjoying himself. Now, where is our overall leader? Answer, there he is. Oh, and Copman's right with him. Watch out for the grey car, because that traffic has not worked well for Roman De Angelis, and here comes the grey and red Park Place Porsche. So Roman De Angelis in the white and green machine did have a couple of seconds, but that traffic, always a problem when you come there. The leader gets the traffic first. You're relying on people seeing the blue flags being waved by the corner workers, which means faster cars behind. But when they're already in a battle, those blue flags will have been out for a while. So the gap between first and second, maybe 3 9/11 lengths. as the number 10 of Frank Razzo pulls over to try and let the leaders through, and he will let the first place car through, but now there's nowhere for him to go, and Coltman is balked slightly as he comes down the hill underneath the pedestrian bridge that heads over towards a superb motorsport museum for cars and motorcycles. It's John Surtees' collection in there at the moment, but nobody heading there right now because there's too much action on the track. It's through with a very decisive move on lap traffic. Goes our leader, Roman De Angelis, but Coltman's right there. Fazekas, I think, has seen him, has he? Oh, slips across the nose of the 73 car. And once again, it's the 34, Sean McCaig, one of our Masters class drivers who shows a bit of experience. How frustrating for David Coltman in the Park Place car. He just gets to challenge the leader as we're inside the last 10 minutes, by the way, and then he has to do another overtake. Goes up the inside of McCaig here, gets position early for the left-hander. And now the next car ahead of him is the leader of the race, but there's still traffic there. And our Platinum drivers showing all their skill and not a little patience, one should say, as they've picked their way through that bunch of cars. Edge of the seat stuff here. It's warming up towards the end of this third round of the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. Blue flag's been waved enthusiastically by our hard-working corner workers. Here comes the leader on the 61 of Scott Wellham. I mentioned his name quite a lot today because he's had battles for the lead in both classes now behind him, and he's split the two leaders here. Not sure there was much that Scott could do there. And now he's sitting on the racing line, and David Coltman's going to try and go to the outside. That's not going to work. Behind, by the way, a heck of a scrap going on for third in Gold Cup. That's Rob Ferriol in the blue and white car at the back of that train, who is battling Frank Razzo in the custard and rhubarb coloured car, the purple and yellow. They're battling for third and fourth in gold. Coltman then heading into another lap, and once again we'll be trying to close that gap, which is just opened a wee bit now since he took a lap, pretty much a lap and a half, didn't he, to get past that 61 Kelly Moss Racing car of Scott Wellham. How cool has the German stayed in this run to the flag on the 2.3 mile circuit here at Barber. Third and fourth in gold, still having that scrap. Thought they behaved themselves really well there as the leaders came through. Frank Razzo in the Mosing Motorcars livery, but at the front of the field, from pole, not headed, the Canadian Roman De Angelis. Now coming into the important laps, and he's got his gap back to second place. Lovely run in the sunshine at Barber Motorsports Park. It's the run to the checkered flag here with just over 5 minutes to go. Round 3 of the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama. We're at Barber Motorsports Park, Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm John Hindhaugh from IMSA Radio. I'm on the edge of my seat, I hope you are too. Battles for major positions in both our platinum and gold categories. The 17th position battle has a platinum car of Sean McCaig, the 34, mainly white Porsche, but in behind him, the last step of the podium, Frank Razzo in the purple and yellow car. And behind him, Rob Ferriol. Those are the guys battling for the podium in gold. Gold cars, slightly older, 2014 to 16 in manufacturer, what's called Generation 1. And here comes Ferriol down in the inside. They're all Porsche 911s, they're all GT3 Cup cars. They're all Type 991s, for those of you who are Porsche files. The Gen 1s slightly older, the Gen 2s, which IMSA got first. Oh, spin! Spin for Ferriol. Spins his way out of that battle right in front of Trent and Estep in the black and gold JDX machine. So very close indeed. Will Hardiman had to do some swift avoidance as well. Roman De Angelis stepping up from gold category into the platinum, and he stepped up with style this year already, been running at the front of the field and leads this one. Meantime, our gold cup leader, the blue, green and red machine, it's Victor Gomez. It's a second place in the platinum going through, David Coltman. So there's your two leaders. So both leaders on the front straight at the same time in the race. Now what happened to Rob Ferriol? Comes down to the downhill left-hander at the hairpin. Reaches the back end of the 5 car, tries to take a lot of speed in to challenge. Did he hit too much curb? No. He just, I think, took a little bit too much speed in. Estep has to avoid to the right in the black and gold JDX car. Rob will be kicking himself over that. Victor Gomez, who took second place in last year's Gold Cup standings after only jumping into the Gold Cup after he had problems with his platinum car early in the season, so had to effectively restart his season at that point. And with any points, with the points that he'd lost by not being a Gold Cup competitor early on, it would have made him even more competitive. And he's out to put that right in 2018. There he is in the background, the light blue, red and green car. Very proud native of Puerto Rico. And was keen to help with some fundraising after the tragic weather-based problems for that community at the end of last year. Heading into the last couple of minutes then. We'll get this lap, and I think one more. Let's see if we've got the white flag this time around. I don't think so. No, just on 2 minutes. It'll be white flag next time around, and the leaders are still just that tantalising 1.5 seconds apart. It will be frustrating for David Coltman. Not sure that De Angelis will have taken a deep breath for quite a long time now, because he's had no peace here, despite qualifying on pole, despite leading every lap of this third round of the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. He's had no peace whatsoever. Either he's had the dark grey Park Place motor car right up his tailpipes, or he's been fighting through traffic. No rest whatsoever from De Angelis, and he's still got traffic ahead of him. So this might not be over yet either. Coltman will want to try and close that gap just in case there is a little hesitation. But it's not just a question of getting your foot down a bit harder. These guys are on the ragged edge. Tom Kerr has been very good with traffic and remains very good at the crucial moment here as the leader goes by him. 74 Porsche going way offline. Roman De Angelis then, still with that 71 Park Place Porsche of David Coltman in behind. Coltman, I'm not sure I'd say be happy with second. Maybe at the end of the day, he'll be content if he picks up a podium and the points for second position. The white flag is out this time around, 2.3 miles to go. And Roman De Angelis, is he going to get the perfect race event? Pole position and led every lap. Really now it would take something extraordinary if Kolkman is going to get back to him. Greg Palmer stays out of the way down to the hairpin, and he will not be a factor. Greg, one of the Gold Cup drivers in the slightly older version of this Cup car, and stays off the racing line again, so he doesn't really hamper the 71 car behind him. There's the second place car up with him now, but it's too late for the German. David Kolkman, the 71 car, will come home in second, but there's nothing he can do to stop the flying Canadian. Kelly Moss, Road and Race, will claim another victory and another trophy to go on their creaking trophy shelf. Just a couple of corners to go for Roman De Angelis. He has not been headed. Maybe now he allows himself just a little sigh of relief as he comes to the final left-hander and looks to the line where the checkered flag is waiting, and we have our first winner of the weekend at Barber Motorsports Park, and it is Roman De Angelis. Kolkman coming through in second. Estep confirmed on the podium in third. Victor Gomez will win Gold Cup from Kurt Fasikas in second, and Frank Razzo, I think, will just hold on to third position. We'll see them across the line in a moment. Well, great weekend so far from Roman De Angelis. He wins the opener here at Barber Motorsports Park.
I am the trusty co-pilot. The moving part that moves all 2,000 parts. I am the translator who interprets the road, the permission to take the scenic route, and the guide that gets you there safely. I'm not just any tire. I am a Yokohama.
The all-new IMSA app, whether at home or trackside. Get behind the scenes with team and driver access all the time. It's the ultimate in fan experience. Choose your favorite manufacturer and strap in for the ride. With live scoring data, radio commentary, and session results in real time, it's just like you're there in Winner's Circle. The all-new IMSA app. Download it today.
First race of the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama has been completed. It was a cracker, wasn't it? Beautiful weather, quite warm. There'll be some tired, but some very happy drivers in the pits and paddock. None more so than the man who led from pole to the checkered flag, Roman De Angelis.
Yeah, seemed like an easy win, probably to view, but it was really, really difficult. Conditions were bad, traffic was bad. David dealt with the same thing, so I'm really, really happy, especially to do it here in Alabama. We're obviously sponsored by Children's Hospital Alabama, Medical Properties Trust, both companies out of this state, so really, really happy for them and happy that they gave me the opportunity to do this year. So yeah, let's see what tomorrow brings.
Confirmation of the win for De Angelis, just a couple of seconds ahead of David Kolkman, who was there for the whole of the 45 minutes, wasn't he? Kept our winner honest. Trenton Estep in third position. Great battle for the third step of the podium in the gold category. Frank Razzo came out on top of Rob Ferriol there, with Kurt Fasikas in second, but the man who stands on the top step for the Gold Cup is Victor Gomez, the fourth.
Honestly, couldn't be happier. One of my best race wins in my race career, in my short race career. Started qualifying with a pole. Sadly, they didn't count the lap because it wasn't official because the beacon stopped working. But I had to start my way through the back, start digging, passing cars, keeping my head down, concentrating, and I worked my way through.
Very different weather conditions for race number 2, and the Park Place driver David Coltman got the whole shot and led early on. All the incidents going on behind the leading pair. Root getting spun around by Trent and Estep under dark skies, and a dark mood for the number 3 driver as he had to perform a drive-through. Bad news for Rob Ferriol in the Gold Cup category. He spun his number 5 car as the weather conditions worsened and the track got wet. Wipers on, slippery under the Yokohama tyres, and a turnaround from the Saturday race as David Coltman came through to take the top step ahead of Roman De Angelis. Will Hardiman coming through in third in the Platinum Cup. In gold, Kurt Fasikas improves 1 spot on his Saturday result, with Frank Razzo making it 2 podia in 2 days. Here's how it stands in the Platinum category. The smallest of margins between Trent and Estep, who leads, and Will Hardiman in second, with Roman De Angelis just a further point behind in third. Anthony Imperato, the best of the rest. In gold, Victor Gomez has life a little easier with an 11-point advantage to Kurt Fasikas in second, Rob Ferriol and Frank Razzo disputing third position. The next time we see the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup USA by Yokohama will be in Lexington, Ohio, at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and I hope you can join us for that action. It's been a cracking couple of days here at Barber Motorsports Park. My thanks to everyone here for putting on such a great event. Also, of course, to the invaluable contribution of our volunteer marshals and officials, and to our hard-working production team. For IMSA Radio and IMSA TV, I'm John Hindhaugh. Thanks for being with us, and join us for the rest of the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama 2018 season. Bye for now.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of the International Motorsports Association. We would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.